Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Akemi, for hosting this. My name is Jack Kornfield. If we haven't met before, I'm happy to see you. I was called in to be a substitute teacher for your class today. Trudy's fine. There's a family emergency in a family that we're very close to that she's helping to tend. So I forgot to ask her, as a substitute teacher, when you go into middle school or wherever, like, how rowdy are these kids? But anyway, I'm very happy to be here with you. She sends her love, and she said she figured I could handle the class. So it's great to see you all on these little tiles and welcome you. And I love Sunday morning class. I've shared it with Trudy many times, and it's her favorite thing. She just can't wait to see you all. So it's my pleasure as well. And what we'll do is the usual. We will sit for about half an hour, and I'll do it as a guided meditation in part to connect with the talk or teachings that follow. And then we'll have some time for dialogue and questions and answers. It is a midsummer day in the middle of a very wild time out there. And it asks of us somehow to find our way to steady our own hearts and bodies so that we can both tend ourselves well and then respond and tend the world around us from a place of a wise or peaceful heart. So with that invitation, please allow yourself to find a way to sit that is stable and comfortable, that is somewhat gracious and enough to keep you present or alert. And let your eyes close gently. And set the intention to take this time to quiet the mind and tend the body and the heart and come into a mindful, loving presence with yourself. And as you close your eyes, maybe take one or two deeper breaths. Allow things to settle just here and now. And I will add some guidance throughout this meditation. If it is annoying, you can always just mute the sound. If it's helpful, take the pieces that are useful to you. So as you sit quietly, to deepen the sense of steadiness, feel your buttocks on the chair or the cushion, whatever you're seated upon, your feet touching the ground or the earth, the floor, and imagine that you have roots that go down from your body, energetic roots, down into the earth, deep into the earth, so that you are sitting like a great tree where the winds can come and blow. The tree is steady and rooted in the earth, just where you are. And notice as you sit quietly how your body breathes itself with no effort or direction. Feel or sense how the body's gently and naturally inspire, expire, breathing in and out, rise and fall of chest or belly, coolness in the nostrils. And as you sense the breath and the body breathing itself, relax into each breath so that there's a steadying and a calm that's invited, breathing in and out. Letting calm and ease grow with each breath. And notice as you feel the body breathe itself. Notice how you can pay attention to your body, how you can bring body and mindful, loving awareness together. Just now, loving awareness, feeling this breathing body. And let your awareness sense all the energies of your body. The sense of pleasure or places of pain. Both are found. Areas of tension, things that you've held in the body in this difficult time. And feeling how the breath breathes itself gently. Notice the areas of tension or tightness, the places that are held in the body. And with a loving awareness, invite them to open by getting stronger or increase. Invite them to show themselves to you so you can feel them fully. And with each area of tension, tightness, let it expand and get stronger and fill the body or even the room. Let it open. So it's all felt fully with loving awareness. And notice how when you make space and allow that which is tight or hurting or painful or closed or throbbing, to be felt fully and to open more. That the space around it also gets bigger. And as it opens, it naturally also gets softer. It eases with that space. Now you're present for your body with this loving awareness, just letting it open as it wishes and breathing itself. Bring in the quality of love even more for this body that's carried you so many steps and miles in so many places. Maybe if you can mute your sound. Bells come and go, sounds of rustling. And you are the loving awareness itself. First, just tending this precious body. Letting open as it will. Breathe with ease. And now with the same loving awareness or attention, begin to notice the state of your heart. Just as you can feel all that your body carries. Pay attention now to any of the emotions that are present. There might be calm or pleasure or ease. But your heart is also being, taxed at this time, carrying concern or sadness or grief for the suffering, carrying fear or even anger, outrage, or loss, carrying longing as you get restless, longing to connect, carrying creativity and love and humor, all the feelings of the heart. And you are the loving awareness. Now let the feelings of the heart open and display themselves, all that's been carried. And let them be felt fully, whatever they are, just now. Let them fill the body and the room, whatever the heart needs to open and show you it's been carrying. And you are the loving attention, the loving awareness, the witnessing of all these emotions. And now you notice that you can either rest your attention with your body, feeling it breathe itself and letting the body open as it will. Or you can let the emotional body and the heart's feelings open and display themselves, be felt fully. And you are the field of love, tending this body and heart, letting it open just now. And now with this same loving awareness, you can pay attention to your mind, that inner organ of energy and images and thoughts and words that continues to produce more thoughts and imagination and plans and remembering and sorting and figuring and hoping and judging and expecting and analyzing and reflecting. And it keeps going. All the different thoughts and images and worries and hopes and visions and positive things. And you kind of step back. The mind's been busy almost like a hamster wheel, especially in tough times, trying to protect you and sort it out. And you just feel the energy of the mind. It's calmed down already a little as we sit. And you hold the mind with compassion. It's been trying to help and protect you. You can say thank you. Thank you for all those thoughts. Thank you for trying to protect me. I'm okay just now. I'm all right. You can relax. And feel the ease, the letdown as you hold your mind with loving awareness and gratitude. Thank you. It can soften. Quiet. And more as you sit, you become the loving awareness, the loving attention that can feel your body and breath and say thank you. Thank you for caring so much. That can feel your heart and all the emotions and love and care and longing, pain the heart carries. Holding with compassion. Oh, this heart, tender. Thank you for caring so much. I'm okay just now, thank you. You can rest. Let the heart come to rest. And now simply and mysteriously, you have become the loving awareness, the witness. With loving attention, you're the witness to this remarkable body with all its experiences. But it's not who you are. You are the loving awareness that's become the field of love that holds all the emotions of the heart, the witness to the heart. But it's not who you are, those emotions. They come and go. They play and are felt. You are the awareness. You are the awareness of mind, knowing all the states of mind, the plans and images and words. And as you feel into the awareness and turn your attention to awareness itself, silent, spacious, peaceful, vast and open. You are the loving awareness witnessing this life, peaceful, spacious. This is your true nature. consciousness itself. Rest at ease. You are the loving awareness. And sense the body breathing itself with calm. And the heart held with loving awareness and compassion settles down. Ease. The mind quiets. And you become the Buddha, the peaceful one, who's awake, can tend to all things, the body and heart and mind and things around. Can do so from a place of spacious peace. Calm, steady, gracious and wise. Thank you for joining me in that meditation. I needed it. I think we all do in these times. And again, something to say about guided meditations. Sometimes they're really helpful and there's a kind of useful reminder. In this case, there were different dimensions with the body, heart, and mind and breath. And if there were useful things, carry them, use them, sense how they work in yourself. If they weren't helpful, if it, would have been better just to be silent, not have so many words, or to do the practice that you already have established of loving kindness or compassion or mindfulness of breathing, whatever it is that you do, body scan, also just fine. These are simply a play, a dialogue, suggestions of one way to pay attention. And so hopefully some part of it was helpful. And when we do questions later after after the next period of a talk, if there were either responses you had, things you wanted to pursue further, questions, experiences from that you want to talk about, be happy to do so. So as you listen now, all of you sequestered, and I can see you either with your backgrounds, either you're at home, maybe outside on the deck or inside, or maybe you have one of those great screens behind you and it looks like you're in Burma, but I know really where you are. You're actually in, Palmdale or some other place, right? Anyway, let yourself be at ease. And I want to continue the thread that Trudy told me she had been working with for a time. And this week she wanted to continue with the teaching of wise effort or wise energy, which is part of the factors of enlightenment, and it's part of the Eightfold Path in the Buddhist teaching. And more importantly, it's just a fundamental question for us as human beings, especially undertaking spiritual practice. What is the right effort? What does effort even mean? Wise effort, often we might equate with struggling, trying to get somewhere, ambition, heroic effort, and there's certainly teachings about that you can find in every spiritual tradition. But wise effort is really a different kind than the way we normally associate the word making an effort. It's simply the effort to be present, to bring our attention, our loving awareness to this very life that we've been given, not to be lost in our thoughts or plans or judging or trying to get somewhere else, even spiritually trying to get somewhere in our meditation, but actually to be present here and now in the reality of this moment, awake with the way things are. And this wise effort, if you will, the effort to be present, could also be called an act of love. For it invites us to show up for this life with an open arms, open awareness, and an open heart. To see what's true in our own bodies and minds and in the world around us. And by becoming present with love, we discover it is the gateway to freedom or liberation, freedom and liberation. Let's explore it a little, just following the meditation that we did, and that in many ways is following the foundations of mindfulness. When you bring loving attention to your body, calling this loving presence wise effort, you begin to notice all kinds of things. First of all, it's mysterious to have this damn body of pleasures and troubles. You know that as you grow older and the wiring gets a little frayed and the pipes get a little clogged and, the the gears don't work as well. But even when you're young, you have to take a lot of care of it. And it's magnificent. It's senses of smell and sound and sight and opening the world. It's also weird. I mean, I don't know how you got in there, but how did we end up with this thing with wiggly things and, you know, with vestigial claws and a vestigial tail back there while you're at it, you know, and eyeballs, which are really bizarre, and these protruding pieces of flesh that try to capture sound, and the hole in which you stuff dead plants and animals regularly, you know, and grind them up with the bones and glug them through the tube, right? And you move it you go about by falling one direction, catching yourself, bipedal ambulation, and you fall the other way. I mean, it's bizarre. I love talking about this. And if it's not weird enough, pay attention if you're lucky enough next time you're making love. Because it's a fabulous thing to do, and it's really weird. Let's get real, you know. Whatever form you like to do it in, it's still strange. So here we are, we have this body. What do we do with it? Wise effort is to show up. And all the healing and all the embodiment and all the care and all the value of having even an incarnation is fulfilled when we pay attention to our body. The places that need to be healed show themselves, and the deepest healing takes place when you tend your body with love. When you listen to it, say, what does it need? When you thank it, as we did in the meditation, thank you for carrying so much. When you pay attention with loving awareness with this wise effort, you're able to regulate your body. You're able to respond and listen. What does it need at this day, this season, this cycle of my life? And when I do a guided meditation for healing temple for people who are trying to heal themselves, and a great healer will come and teach them how to put their hands on their body in the places that most need the healing. That healing presence is one of love, of loving awareness, loving attention. And more than anything else, it's what changes the body. A story for you. I'll read you a few stories today. Jerry Flaxted, a physician, describes his initial revulsion to a patient named Frank, an angry, obese, homeless man who had diabetes, was unbathed, had gangrene legs and open sores. When he didn't take his meds for his mental disorder, Frank would flail his arms, spew curses and epithets at all those around him. He was admitted repeatedly to the hospital. For Dr. Flaxted, Frank was a patient who was hard to love. One day, Frank was brought to Richmond Hospital with congestive heart failure. The diagnosis was serious, and Dr. Flaxted tended him as best as he could. And then 20 members of the Down Home neighborhood church, in whose shelter Frank sometimes slept, arrived. They brought flowers, homemade food. They chanted, they sang hymns to Frank, creating a chorus of care and communion. When Dr. Flaxted returned to Frank's room after tending another patient on the ward, he saw that Frank was smiling, surrounded, bathed in their love. And the doctor realized that he had never really seen Frank at all. So this is what it means to bring loving awareness to your own body, to see it, its mystery with its magnificence and its wrinkles, you know, or whatever it happens to be that manifests. It has fur in some places and it loses its fur otherwhere, and then the fur comes somewhere else. To see the body that you have and treasure it. This is wise effort. And then you'll know how to respond. And it's the same with the heart, you know, just as we did in the meditation. Wow, in this time, the heart carries so many different feelings and emotions. And what I know so well is that our education doesn't teach us much about the heart and how to tend it. I was on the cover of the Dartmouth Alumni magazine some years ago with a few other people. It was an issue on weird alumni. I guess I fit the profile. And they had interviewed me. They actually cut out some of the less positive things I had to say about my education there, because the alumni magazine is mostly used for fundraising, actually. But in any case, what I tried to say is that I only got half an education. I had a good Ivy League education in philosophy and organic chemistry and you know, great European literature and Asian literature and all these kind of intellectual pursuits and mathematics. Nobody taught me what to do with the pain from my family of origin, from a violent and paranoid father who was a wife batterer and, you know, a violent person toward his children. Nobody taught me about that. Nobody taught me how to have a loving relationship. Nobody taught me what to do about my fear, you know, or confusion when those states would come, or how to regulate the heart, not to speak of what it meant to live with compassion. No one taught me about forgiveness. So I went to seek the second half of my education. Well, maybe I'm still in that second half, and went to train as a Buddhist monk, as you all know. And that was what we were taught. What we just did in our meditation, how to bring the attention to the body and the heart and mind. It's not a small thing. It's actually the central gift of being a human being, and something that you can see the world needs so much. So here, when you attend to your own heart and mind, yes, it's getting taught a little bit now. There's a whole spread of social and emotional learning in schools. Hallelujah. Finally, it's getting taught a bit, but it's still kind of on the side. Shall we pay for this 5%? It's not the center of our education. But here we are. How do we deal with all these emotions? And right now, there's so many of them. Well, one thing is they don't last very long when you pay attention carefully. You might say, I was angry at her for, all, last week, or I was sad in January or March, or and you think they last a long time, or I was so excited or in love or whatever. But pay attention, and there you are. Somebody did something that hurt you, and you're angry. But if you really pay attention and you begin to name it gently, to recognize it and acknowledge it and allow it to be there, angry, and so forth, it only lasts about 15 seconds. Angry, and after 15 seconds, the thought comes, I hate him. He really mistreated me. And anger's turned into hatred. And you're there for a little while hating him. And then you say to yourself, God, I feel so sad about this. We got so stuck. And all of a sudden, there's sadness. And then the sadness turns into self-pity. Why did I let myself get into this, where I could be hurt in this way? And yeah, but it's all that person's fault. And now the anger comes back. And then the thought of revenge comes, and you notice that. And then you think, yeah, but I'm a good Buddhist. We're not supposed to be vengeful. So you notice that. And you laugh a little, and some humor comes, and you think, what should I have for dinner? Because the mind has no pride at all. And then you say, no, I'm angry. And the anger comes back. You know how it is. We're just talking about paying attention closely to the heart and mind. It is like a waterfall. And when you follow that teaching of rain, of recognizing, accepting, and then investigating to see, you start to see the emptiness of emotions. They come, they play, they disappear. They're like rain clouds in the sky. They weep themselves to the end, and then the sun comes out, and then a new storm appears. And what you were doing in the meditation, what we did together, was to hold all of these emotions, the longing and the love and the creative force in you, and the sweetness and the care and the frustration and the boredom. To name them, this is boredom, this is what it feels like. Loneliness feels like this. This is where I feel it in the body and the heart. To hold it all with tenderness and loving awareness. Not to be afraid of it. That book titled Love is Letting Go of Fear. And you realize that the effort needed to tend the heart isn't to change it or fix it. You don't need heart surgery. You need the attention of love. And I think about my teachers like my beloved colleague and friend Mahagosananda, the Gandhi of Cambodia, how he walked and moved through the post-genocide, the Cambodian terror of the Khmer Rouge killing so many people. And he just became the field of love that people needed to regain their lives. And this is really what our heart needs as well. Not to be judged for all its feelings. It's going to feel everything because that's what hearts do. But held in loving awareness to say yes, this too. That's wise effort, wise energy. The same for the mind. And you could see it in our meditation. Again, a little account of Whitney, who was in the middle of a lot of troubles. Her mother was scheduled for surgery. Her father had the early middle stages of Alzheimer. She wanted her parents to continue to live in their house, but their illnesses and disabilities wouldn't allow it. So she had to fly back to St. Louis and start to move them and do. She had two brothers, and all that her brothers would do would be to call her and say, Whitney, you take care of it. You know how it falls on women a lot to do this. You got to take care of it. They couldn't be involved. She spent a month with them trying to pack up the house of 56 years and put things in order. Everything was in shambles. They couldn't move. She got a nurse aide to come in and help care. They couldn't even care for themselves. And in the middle of it all, she felt so overwhelmed. And she walked out of her childhood home up the hillside on top of this hill that gave her a vista and a view of part of the city and the landscape around it. And she began to weep because she didn't want to lose her family's home. She didn't want her parents to face the kind of losses that she did. And as she sat there, she could see the vast sky and the cumulus clouds that were rising around in the middle of America, bringing shade. She could see the trees that were dotting the area around. And everything got spacious, again, as you did, paying attention inwardly to make the space around the mind. And she could see how life renews itself, and there's struggle, and it fights against things, and it survives just like grass pushes up through the cracks in the sidewalk. It flourishes for a time, and then it changes. And she could feel she wasn't alone, that with her were, 485,000 other children of parents in the US alone who this year were helping them move and tending them because they were disabled or unable. She wasn't alone. She could feel the humanity in this, that we're all in this. As children, we're cared for by our parents. As adults, we do what we do. And then it's our turn to care. And she knew that she was part of the cycle of life of something huge and human. I'm not the only one caring for aging parents. We're in this great life cycle, and her heart began to weep and release and say yes. we know how to do this. We can be present for it all. And this is the vastness of the mind, a loving awareness of wise energy that can pay attention to the mind, and instead of being lost in small mind or thoughts, open to consciousness itself. Mystery. This is who you are. In the end, when a baby is born, we greet that baby with love. It's the first thing. Everybody loves that baby that came out. And at the end of life, you hold someone's hand as they exit. And that hand holding, that last whisper, that last gesture is a gesture of love. We come in that way, we go out that way. In fact, that's what we are. That's who we are, is love itself. Here, another story for you. This is from Frank Ostaseski, who's taught sometimes at InsightLA, a dear friend who started Zen Hospice. And he tells the story of a resident who was in a great deal of pain, who asked if he could learn meditation that would help. So they began to meditate, turning a loving awareness toward the physical sensations of his cancer that had caused so much difficulty. And as he breathed gently, he tried to open to the sensations, but it was too intense. And he screamed, "I can't do it. It's too much. It hurts. It hurts." So Frank Ostaseski told him, "Okay, let's try something else." And he put his own hand gently on the man's stomach, where the pain was most intense, and said, "How's that?" And the fellow said, oh, that hurts too much." "Let's try this," Frank went on. And he put his hands near the man's feet. And he said, "Oh, that's a little better." And then Frank put his hands a foot or two away from the man's body, just hovering above his stomach and his heart. The man lay there for a little bit. He said, "Ah, that's lovely." There was no special, body work, no trying to get rid of it, nothing esoteric. Just opening more and allowing more space. And after some minutes with Frank just hovering there, embodying a field of love, the man's face began to relax, and he said so softly, "Oh, rest in love, rest in love." And after that, whenever he got in trouble with his pain, he would push his morphine pump and just repeat to himself, "Rest in love, rest in love." Now, I'm not going to suggest you get your morphine pump quite yet, even though I know it's a tough time. But you can hear the understanding behind it, of what it means, what wise effort means, the effort to love, to be awake with love, to be present in this mystery with love. And what's true is that just as we've talked about tending the breath and body, the heart, the mind, with a loving awareness as an act of love, then when you open your eyes, as we have from the meditation, and you engage in the relationships of your life, even if you're sequestered alone, you're Zooming with people, and often you're not, or you're not just alone, you're in relation with others. Guess what relationships need more than anything? Loving attention. That's what children want, what animals want, what our garden wants, loving attention. And even in the struggles in relationship, or in the incredible difficulties that we can get in, while we may need to set boundaries, while we may need to take care or protect ourselves or protect things that we care about, the fundamental energy that brings liberation in all these circumstances is loving awareness, is love itself. That's what makes it work. So the very effort or energy to learn how to bring this loving awareness to your own breath and body, your heart and mind, is the exact practice when you see the beauty, the secret beauty behind the eyes of the others with whom you live or talk to or Skype or Zoom with. And you can gaze with the eyes of love, everything changes. And then there's the world, the troubled world around us. And you get to see its magnificence, its unbearable beauty of a sunset or a wild storm, or of the magnolia blossoms. All the unexpected magnificence, not only of nature, but of humanity. And with all the troubles that we talk about, in the hour that we've just spent together, there have been 1 billion acts of kindness that won't make the news. All that makes the news is somebody throws a Molotov cocktail, or somebody, harms another or says terrible things. Oh, great, we've got something to write about. But there were 1 billion plates of scrambled eggs put on children's table, or rice gruel or oatmeal or something that was sweet and wonderful to eat and nourishing. There were 1 billion acts where people stopped at the red light so someone could safely pass through the green, where someone stepped out of the way or kept their 6-foot distance, even though not everybody's doing it. There are 1 million billion acts of goodness, because that's also who we are. And when you understand how to practice this wise effort of love, then you realize that this is what matters. In the end, you could say, if you want a mantra, you want a koan, you want a spiritual question, here, I'll give you one. What would love have me do today? There's your question. What would love have me do today? And it might be getting groceries for your older neighbor. It might be helping to get out the vote. It might be tending your own garden, or your children or your parents or the people around you. It might be making music and making art and making beauty in that way in the world. It might be working as a first responder, putting yourself out to care for others in this world. There are 1 million ways. What would love have me do today? There's right effort for you to ask that question, to listen inside. And then your heart will tell you, and you'll know. So thank you for your kind attention, all these little people in squares. That's what my poor grandson, he's now 20 months, and he knows that Nini, that's Trudy, and Baba, that's Jack, live in a little tiny glass screen, that's where we are, and we make noises and blow bubbles and do things that are playful together and things like that. But this is his experience of grandparents. It's bizarre. It's really strange. But here we are, and you're on these little squares too, and I'm so pleased to see you. So with all this, I don't know where you are, Akemi, I assume you're tuned in. Let's do a little bit of dialogue or questions, as you usually do, or comments, or my question for you is, what have you learned about wise energy wise effort about showing up with love. But anything else is fine. Kemi, are you going to do the magic?
Ran is going to do it.
Okay.
Okay, yes, everyone, please use the raise your hand function, which comes under the participants column. I'll be calling in order, and a reminder to everyone, if you always share, there's a chance to listen. And if you haven't shared, feel free to raise your hand and Jack will be happy to work with you. So it's open to the field.
Looks like there's a question in the chat.
Okay, this comes from Rick Berger. How does one know when it's time to accept or trust mystery as opposed to continuing to seek answers?
Is Rick going to appear on the screen? Do we have
No,
him?
Rick doesn't have video, Jack. Rick Berger is,
All right.
that's why I'm reading it out. He doesn't have audio.
Sure.
So just
All right, so I need someone to help me from this group to recite the Serenity prayer. Who wants to raise their hand? Do that for me, please. Do we have someone? Alexandra?
Okay, go ahead, Alexandra.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Oh, that's beautiful. And what a lovely voice. I could just record that and play it over periodically as a good meditation. Thank you, Alexandra. So the kind of question that was just asked, which is a heartfelt question, and I thank you for it. It's really our basic human struggle. How do we know? And the Serenity, how do we know what to do? The Serenity prayer begins to point us to that, to realize that there is a distinction between, the things we can't change, which are many, and then the things that ask our courage. The wisdom to know the difference comes when you quiet the mind and tend the heart. And if there were a dialogue that I could have with, is it Rick who called or who chatted, I would ask for specifics, like give me an example of a situation. And then I would suggest that he close his eyes and either listen to the quietest, deepest voice in him about what matters in responding. Or maybe I'd say, imagine that the wisest person your old grandmother or one of the old indigenous grandmothers, whoever, could come and speak. And if you quiet and listen, even though there's no roadmap and it is mysterious, part of that mystery is that we get in touch with a kind of intuition, an intuitive guidance. And we go, oh, this is what matters. This is what I need to do. Now, the thing is, we're always afraid we're going to make a mistake. Maybe that voice was wrong. There's another voice. The nice thing is that you can change your mind. After, if you see it, you can course correct. And I remember when I first got in a relationship with Trudy and she said something, I want this very, very adamantly. And I went on my way and I tried to arrange and we're going to do this. Blah, blah, blah. And then a little, couple of days later, she said, I don't want that. And I got upset. And I said, wait, you said you wanted this. And I spent all this time, no. And she looked at me very, very sweetly, said, Jack, I hate to tell you something, but you might want to listen to this. She smiled and she said, women change their minds. And I just laughed. And of course, we know it's not just women. Men change their minds too. Everybody changes their mind. So we can get so fixed on things. But as we get quiet and intuitive, we make a response. And then if it doesn't seem right, as we follow the course of it, we can change. So that's a beautiful question. Let's try the next.
Okay, Ellen Medway, feel free.
Can we bring, oh, great.
Go ahead, unmute, Ellen.
Is that good? Am I unmuted? I think I am. Can you hear me?
No, it's real weak, Ellen.
Okay, hold on. Can you hear me now?
Better.
I can, yes,
Okay. Thank you, Jack, so
but I
much.
can't see your face. I see that beautiful little diamond there.
It's okay. I'm too short for my speaker.
I see.
Yeah, this is me.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. My long-term friend just sent a text that her son is dead. And no explanation. I texted her back that I was here when she was ready to talk. But what I find is that your talk really helped me, but I feel so crushed for her and him, and I feel really helpless.
So thank you for bringing this to all of us, because at some time we're all going to be faced with this kind of dilemma when someone close to us dies, or some loving friend, someone in our family dies. And you said you feel crushed and you feel helpless. So the first thing, with compassion and loving awareness, is not only what you've done already, which is great, which is to acknowledge your feelings, but also to realize that what you're feeling, what you're bearing witness to, is her feelings. It's not just yours. That she's crushed. She doesn't even, she's probably mad in the sense of crazed, no matter how he died. And she's probably helpless, like, how can I change this? What can I do? All of the things that come to us as a parent who most love our children. And your ability to recognize this and to allow it, not to run away and not to run away from her, and to bear witness to it with a great heart of compassion, which I can feel in you. This is what's asked. We don't know how or why he died. What we do know in this mystery is that we all have a certain measure of days. And for whatever reason, we cannot know, it was his time in this mystery. We can't know why that happened, whether it was an accident or an overdose or any possible, that somehow our lives are not finite. They're vulnerable. And when we lose a loved one, we can feel helpless, crushed, overwhelmed, and then the gates between the worlds open, and we're in a place of mystery. What helps you when you feel most?
I think, Jack, what you said helps me. I think because I was judging when I should do what I should do. Like, I didn't want to hurt her by bringing, I don't know. I just felt like, but what you're saying really helps me.
Yeah. Well, you'd like to fix it too. You'd like to fix her. And she's struggling, like, how do I fix this? And that's all your care coming out. And I want to do it right. And at this time, Ellen, you can't do it right because it can't go away, but you can do it right by just what you're doing, which is bearing witness with a loving heart, being present. And as you did, letting her know that as soon and whenever she wants, that you're there for her, to hold her hand, to be with her in this. So that's a great gift. I also want to add one other thing. I was friends with Houston Smith, who's this, gorgeous human being, this elegant, tall professor of religion from MIT, and wrote the best-selling book on world religion. And he was just a great gentleman. He was a true gentleman. His granddaughter was killed, was murdered in some very strange way in an accident, some long voyage she'd taken. And he was devastated. He absolutely loved her. They were very close. And he said many people came to try to help. They sent food, they sent messages or so forth. And he said the person that made the most difference for me was a young man who lived down the street, who knew me. We'd known each other a bit. He was young and he was a Native American. And this young man, Houston said, would come and sit next to me when I sat on the porch. And he didn't say anything. He just sat with me. And Houston paused and he said, that to me was the greatest solace, and the greatest gift was his loving presence. So thank you for your big heart, Ellen, your question and your big heart.
Okay, we have a question from Sherry Shaw. Please unmute yourself.
Okay. Hello.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi, Jack. I wanted to tell you that when you were
Wait, we're
What
still
happened?
back with Ellen, so we have to change the
Sorry.
channel.
do we
Okay,
get it?
yeah, we're good.
Okay. I'm sorry. When you were
Okay.
speaking of the man who was helping someone end his life with the presence of love,
Yes.
some of the feelings from my mother's death about 2 years ago started to actually appear.
Yes.
When she was dying, I had like an invisible shield of numbness. I just felt it come up for actually a few years when I was caring for her because of just a difficult relationship, and she was very impaired as a person. And I just am now starting to see, oh, I could have held her hand at least, or I could have said something, but I was just mostly quiet because I didn't know what to say. So what you're talking about today is very helpful for me, because I also noticed that that shield can come up during the times of life when there are scary things or painful things, and I see myself sometimes behind it while I'm interacting with my family, my 2 young adult kids and my husband. And the question that you brought up of what can I do today from love is just really what I needed today.
Sherry, thank you. Would you tell me the name of your mother?
Yeah, Isabel.
Isabel.
My daughter is Louisa Isabel.
Oh. Oh.
So she's still here.
First, I just want to say, you didn't know what to say. In a way, it's when we're talking about emotional intelligence, where we started in this class, no one teaches us how to be around death. We get our education, no one talks about it really. That's another piece. So of course you didn't know what to say. And of course you put up an invisible shield. We all have our ways of protecting ourselves. And you need to thank that shield, because it has gotten you through some bad stuff. It does.
It has. I learned it really early.
You needed to learn it, and you need to thank it. It doesn't have to be there all the time, but in a way, you also need to be grateful that you've had it. because it's trying to protect you. Now, what I hear from you is the regret that you wish you'd been able to say some things to your mother and hold her hand. And I'd like to invite you to close your eyes for a moment, because it turns out it's not too late. And I want you to envision your mother in whatever way you want to now. It could be toward the end of her life. And there's Isabel. And you didn't know what to say then. But now you do know really what you want to say to her. And with your eyes closed, because she can hear you now in this way, she can hear you more easily in a way. She doesn't have a body, so she can listen to you. And let yourself say to your mother what it is you really want to say.
I'm sorry that we weren't able to be closer with each other, and I'm sorry that I didn't know how to relate to you. And now it's okay. It's okay. I love you no matter what.
Yeah, so symbolize with this. Really, really important. Take some breaths and feel what it's like to have said these really important things to your mother. I'm sorry I wasn't able to be closer. I love you. And feel how that lands in your body. How is it to be able to give voice and to send it out? Mother, wherever you are, Isabel, wherever you are, you must listen to this. How does it land in your body?
It feels like tapping into the right place, and that like some of the stuckness is turned a little bit to jello, and there's more under there.
So this is really a beautiful thing you did. And you know, you protected yourself. You needed to. As a child, you learned how to protect yourself, and you really, really needed it. And then you realized, but I also needed to take it down, and I needed to say these things to my mother. I want to give you one more suggestion, and that is, I'd like to recommend that you write a letter to your mother, a long letter. You start it, and you take, you know, a few weeks, and you write little pieces. This is everything I want to say to you. And it can start with, I'm sorry, or whatever you said, that was unable to be closer. And this, and I want to say this, and I want you to hear this, and I saw this. And the whole long, long letter. When you finished it, then I want you to take it in meditation and imagine that you can offer and say, Isabel, wherever you are, I've written you this letter. You can read it out loud and make a little ritual for yourself. You might then want to read it to someone else who knew your mother or in their presence. You might want to put it on an altar or go to some place that you consider sacred and leave it there. You could do something like that with it. But this is a way, because you said there's things under there, this is a way to invite all of that to be witnessed with loving awareness.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Sherry. Take care. Thank you for the good work.
Okay, next is Bob Poole. Bob Poole.
Hi, thank you, Jack.
Hi, Bob.
Hi. It's really important for me to hear what you said today. My question is, during that meditation, and when you talk about feeling what was going on in my body, but then also in my heart, I kind of got the same thing, which is a sort of kind of anxiety that I'm increasingly aware of that is there all the time these days. And it takes, a lot it's focused on what's going on with the election and the post office and, all of that stuff. But I also recognize that it's something that's been with me since I was really young.
Yeah.
really young, really early bad abduction abuse experience, and which I didn't remember till I was about almost 40, and then I didn't even appreciate till last few years, like this, like I carry some kind of fear, anxiety about it. My question is, when you were talking about it, how things, come and go and pass away, rise and pass away and then change, it's always right there. It's like it's always right there if I pay attention to it. The only thing that's different is whether I'm paying attention to it or not. And I feel like I've had a lot of kind of low level chronic health things, and I think some of it's probably that, honestly. I sort of carry this, like, it's kind of sits in my my solar plexus or upper part of my stomach or something, and I have digestive problems. I'm not even sure what my question is, but we have thoughts about that. It's like it doesn't go away. It's there all the time. The only difference is, am I noticing it? Am I feeling consciously?
Great. I got a sense of your question, and I really want to be able to take enough time because we have just 5 more minutes. So I'm kind of receiving this, and there's a lot to it from what you say, and you say things that are really important because it's not just you. If I were to ask on these little tiles, how many people deal with a lot of anxiety, probably half the hands would go up, and all the more so now. So you're asking for yourself, but you're also asking for us as human beings. Because there's something about being separate in our bodies that already we're vulnerable. And already that's built in. We have to kind of look around and make sure we're safe. It's kind of the deepest animal instinct. And part of it happens with profound trauma, which you describe, abduction and abuse and so forth, is that it gets wired in, that deep trauma, into the nervous system. And it kind of sets so that that both the biochemistry and the nervous system somehow are a bit on alarm, which is what you say, it's being constant. It's like there's a little bit of adrenaline hormone or something like that going on. It's also true that it's not there all the time, because there are times you don't pay attention and you'll be doing something else. You're watching the game, or you're making love, or you're cooking an omelet or something. It's like grief. I've noticed that in the time of the greatest loss, when it seems like grief just is endless, there'll be grief doesn't disappear, but there gets to be spaces, so that I'll be in the supermarket in tremendous grief, and then I have to decide which kind of soap I need for the laundry. Am I going to get Tide, or am I going to get an organic one, or whatever? And then all of a sudden I'm in shock. I realize, oh, the grief went away for a little bit. It's not that it's not going to come back, or that my body doesn't still hold it. But you start to notice the ecosystem has comings and goings, even within what seems to be so fixed. You've done trauma work, I assume, in therapy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just something that's given to you in this incarnation. Yes, there's very, very good trauma work, and if you have the inclination, you might want to do more of it. Here are 3 other things. First, I want you to begin to talk to your body, because the way you're describing the anxiety is not so much a thought structure. It may come sometimes as thought, but it's actually like your body's on alarm. And I want you to try suggesting that you do a self-compassion practice. You've heard of mindful self-compassion. I don't know if you ever did that training, but you can do it online with Chris Germer and Kristen Neff, and they come to InsightLA, do their training in mindful self-compassion. When you do it, I'd also like to recommend that you too create a ritual, that you write the story, if you haven't, of the abduction and the abuse and all the things that your body's carrying. Do that training in self-compassion and do practices of loving kindness for yourself, self-compassion. And then when you're ready, make an altar or someplace and place the whole story and all that you know on there in the lap of Kuan Yin, the goddess of infinite compassion, or, you know, Buddha or Mother Mary or whoever you put there, light a candle and say, I need you to carry this now. I'm safe and I don't have to carry this in my body anymore. And make that a ritual so that when you feel it again in your body, you can say to your body, it's okay. You know, I put it on the altar. Mother Mary is carrying it. I don't have to carry it anymore. And in a way, you're beginning to differentiate yourself. You're becoming the loving witness of it. You're articulating it. You're doing the self-compassion that cares for yourself. And then you're taking the feelings and emotions and images and you're placing them not on the altar so that you don't have to carry it. And it's carried instead by this mystery. I wish we could work further together, but I want to know, just for the last few seconds, how does this land when we talk about this? How does you feel even as I say it?
It sounds good. It sounds good. It's interesting. I did a whole lot of very difficult work around it a bunch of years ago, and part of me is like, "Oh no, not again!" You know.
But that's how it works. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. But I think maybe I'm ready. I think maybe I'm ready to, you know, have another crack at it. So.
I believe you're ready, and I can feel it. And I think there's this kind of a willingness and an understanding in it. There's also a film, if you're writing something down, that you'll have to buy for, I don't know, it's like $10 or something. It's a film entitled Downpour Resurfacing. So write down this title. And it's a movie made by my colleague and great Dharma teacher, Robert Hall, who died last year, who was abducted and abused as a very young child and didn't even know about the memories until he was an adult and was getting body work. And all of a sudden he could feel all the ropes. And he asked his mother and she said, yeah, we never told anybody about it because we were ashamed and you were young and we didn't want to talk about it. But this is what happened. So the body still carries it and it needs to be danced and moved and released, but the story needs to be written and released. So you might look at that film, but more than that, mindful self-compassion, I think will be important for you and everyone who's listening. And now we've come to the end of our time. Bob, I'm grateful for that you are ready. I mean, there's a lot of courage and it's like the perfect ending for wise effort or, you know, loving awareness that, you know, it's the energy to be present for what's there, and now you are. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now, going back to you all as a group, everyone, these were all very deep questions and stories and people going through things. So they touch you just as they touched me. And we all carry our things as human beings, our, you know, what Oscar Wilde calls the tainted glory of humanity, the measure of tears, you know, and the magnificent caring and beauty that make us up and make up life. And to meditate is to take your seat in the middle and let your heart and mind get wise and wide and loving enough to say, yes, all this. And to choose love. What would love have me do today? So I thank you all for this and for being part of all the classes at InsightLA. And on behalf of Trudy, who couldn't be here, I said, you know, I wasn't planning to do this. She said, I think you'll do okay. You know how to do this. We're teasing each other. Anyway, I said, what do I get for this? She said, you want me to cook you dinner? Anyway, it's a sweet thing to be with you as a community and to see you with one another, you know, on these little tiles. We need each other a lot in this time, and to have such a community is important, and your support for InsightLA is important. So thank you. Maybe you can all unmute and say hello, goodbye, whatever you want. I love you to each other.
Thank you,
Hello,
Jack.
goodbye, and I love you.
Thank you so much.
Jack,
Jack, love you guys.
Jack, I wish you did this more regularly.
Thank you for your
Thank you so
service.
much.
Thank you
for
for
filling.
sharing. Thank you, Jack.
Jack.
Thank you all.
And I love you.
Sunday.
Take care, everybody.
So wonderful.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks, everybody.
It's great.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Wish you did this more regular.
Yeah.
More. We want more, right?
Yeah, we want more of you.
More.
Desire.
Back
This is
anytime.
Desire.
Desire arises. I want more chocolate ice cream.
The wanting mind.
You'll be doing it September 1st, though, right? With Trudy?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it's on the website. I
Who
signed
knows?
in. I have it on my saved screen.
a long way off.
It's September 1st.
Bye.
I have to check. Bye. Have a
Okay,
good
yeah,
day.
probably. Thank you again. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.